So the group that I was with, I guess I kind of maybe sort of hacked into the group and with the idea of the project we worked on, which was about educational issues, and it was about college students and the likelihood that they will drop out of college because of financial factors and not because of anything associated with their anything associated with their educational abilities. And so on that slide that was just before, I worked, Deborah and Nate helped with a lot of the technical stuff, and then Jasmine, myself, I'm Sherry, and then 2 Embark students, Michael and Terrence, who are no longer here, they're currently juniors in high school, were able to include their experiences about what it's like to get money for college. And Jasmine could talk about, she's graduating in 2 weeks from college, what it was like to keep money once getting to college. And so one of the issues, you can go to the next slide, so that the FASFA that many of you may know about, form to complete, can be a challenging and difficult form, and the students who need it most in terms of money, those some families where their parents don't have a college degree, have a lot of trouble figuring it out and don't have a lot of support, because oftentimes there's like a guidance counselor in high school for like a whole bunch of students, many more students that they can actually give support to. And so the idea was to kind of develop an app that could give them the push support that a guidance counselor would give in terms of getting that form completed. And so, so why this matters so much is, like I said, financial distress is the #1 reason that college students today list for dropping out. And it's not because they couldn't do the work, but because they were so stressed about paying for school that takes up a lot of their mental energy, and then they're working 20, 30 hours a week and trying to go to school. And so we developed the FACT, which is the FAFSA application tracker. So students, guidance counselors, or we could just blast it or promote it to high school students that there's this quick app that will walk you through this process and get you money to go to college. And so they would register on the app, and the app would track their progress through it and keep reminding them of the deadline dates, because if you miss the date, you don't have access to a whole bunch of federal aid. And so it's really important that they don't miss the date, and that it's intended to use their circle of support. So they would enter their circle of support, so enter their contact information, parents' contact information, guidance counselors' contact information. And so if the student is not responding to the push notifications, you can think of it like what we're talking about, a weight loss app or some other type of thing that's trying to push a particular behavior, that it can use their support network to keep pushing that behavior. Yeah.
So this is just a real high-level conceptual view of what FAT would look like. The idea is that students are responsible for registering and going in and updating that information. And the one thing about this is that their records actually would exist for the time they're in high school all the way up through and including college. So if they're in college for 4 years or 6 years, we've heard is becoming the norm, they could go through and repeat the cycle every year. And it's not like a fixed cycle. Every state has a different set of rules. So it's really based on the state of residence where a student would be registered, not necessarily where they're going to college. So the process is basically for year 1 through year N, being able to, step them through the process and sort of, hey, this section, you said, it's 30 days, and do you want to complete this section, or did you complete it? And they can respond back that they did. We envisioned that this was not just a mobile app where you are actually interacting and getting like push notifications, and where you could actually open up and just check, yeah, I took that, or I submitted that section. There's a lot of low tech. Some of the financial distress students who are at financial risk also do not necessarily have some of the higher tech solutions. So in a lower tech scenario, it could work with just straight text messaging, where things could be updated with yes or no, sort of a request reply. And then, of course, the web app could be available as well, just to update the information, like a lot of apps are. And it's intended to sort of build that support network. So that's the idea. Your parents could get notified if you haven't completed a section, and there's getting to be a lot more support built into it, and badges or whatever eventually that you could get because you completed stuff on time or early. So it's meant to be sort of a encouragement factor. Okay? And we actually did a prototype, because that was the goal for today, of a mobile app.
All right, so this is the Intel XDK. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but it allows for rapid prototyping and emulation across a wide range of devices, so we can render this on a Droid and just kind of see what it looks like. Our app, just to show you how terrible it is, it kind of looks like this on an Ultrabook. So clearly that's kind of terrible. So if we clean this up, we wanted to release this, we'd have to clean up some of the styling and stuff like that. We designed this more for the iPhone type of or Android device, so it kind of looks like this. So the first thing that you would do is you come to this app and you click register. You enter your name, which is Nate. I'm going to enter my email address, nate@a.com. Big cool email address. My phone number, let's do 54, right? And then, so then I've registered for the app. Obviously, I'd have to set up a password. But we would envision that you could connect this to your Facebook account or use OAuth to connect it to your Gmail account, so you wouldn't have to remember 14 stupid passwords. And you can use the power of open source to log in here. So then here, I've got my default contact type. So how do I want to be contacted? Do I want to be contacted via phone or email? So I'll set email. My first notification, so like when do I want to start being notified for my deadline, 30 days, 60 days, or 7 days, so I'll set it 30 days. And then once I've reached that first notification, how many times after that do I want to be notified? Do I want to be notified weekly or daily or anything like that? So I'll set up weekly notifications. So that's the basic preferences. Then I click save, and now I'm at the FAFSA tracker part. Now this is clearly not tied to any backing data, so I can just check the boxes if I want to. So let's say I've already filled out my student information, my parent financial, but now I've got to get tax information, which means I have to contact my parents to get this stuff. I've got to go to random websites. So in order to facilitate that, let's add a person who I can then get this information from, and then just so that they start getting reminders when I haven't completed this, because it's your fault, not my fault. So I'm going to add a person. I'm going to add my mom. Her phone number is 554. Her email address is mom@a.com. My relationship is mother. And then the contact type, we didn't fill these out, but this would be like so that I could set this person up as a personal contact, a school contact, or something like that. So I'll just click OK. So now I've added that person, my mom, as a support person. So now I'm ready to go to school. My mom is giving me my tax information, so let's go back here. I've got this information. I've got this guy. But because I'm a college student, I forget to take things to the mailbox. I forget to do all this stuff. And normally I would have to go to the Office of Financial Aid. They'd call me and start hounding me, so we built this into the app. So let's add another person. So instead of mom, we'll call this like counselor. And in the interest of time, we'll just give them the same, and we'll just set this up as a financial counselor. And I click OK. Right? So now what I can do is I can go and I can add a school. So my school would be like, you could set up a high school, a college, something like that. And the idea here is that I've added my support people to my school, and then I go to the school, my support contacts at a specific school. I set up my school. Let's say I'm going to DePaul. and then I select from my list of people that have supported or that are attached to that school, so I know who I'm going to. So select somebody there, click OK, go back to my preferences. So now I can go back and I can do a few things. I can go to my schools, and whoops, that's linked to the wrong page, defect. That's supposed to take you to the list of the schools that you have set up, but it's not. And then I can go to my circle. So the idea here is that I set up a first level contact, a second level contact, and a third level contact. So I, as an individual, would always be the first person contacted. But if I was a lazy college student and didn't fill out my FAFSA, or just forgetful college student and didn't fill it out, it would it would contact my mom, right? Because my mom, I'll probably listen to her. If I don't listen to my mom, then we can escalate to a different level of contact at different times. So we set that person up as a second level contact, and then we can set up another person as a third level contact. Click OK, and I'm back to my preferences, and that's the app. So, any questions? Yes.
Just to clarify, I mean, as a recent college student, this is like a tool for maybe a parent or people who would be in that support circle to say, you know, student, you should be using this, and let's work together to get your FAFSA done.
Yeah.
As a student, I'm probably going to be looking at this and go,
Yeah, you're not. So ideally, when you set up your support circle, you would be able to, and we didn't spec this out, but ideally you'd be able to set it up so like your mom could actually log in, and she could track her, like if you're not her only child, like she could say, okay, I've got this child who's at this stage of the FAFSA, this child who's at this stage of the FAFSA, this child who's at this stage, and then you could see this kind of developing. So like FAFSA would be the first step, and then as you go along, you can add a class, and then here's my professor, and then as I'm getting papers back, my mom gets notified, or my guidance counselor, if I have a mentor who really cares about how I'm doing in college. But it's kind of hard when you're in college, you get wrapped up to go back and talk to that mentor. So if we set something up where your mentor's getting emailed, things are happening, you're more likely to be contacted, reached out to by the person who cares about you, as opposed to you just kind of starting to drown in college without any support circle around you. So that's the general idea of where this could go.
Any other questions? All right.
All right, cool.
Here we go.